Hey there, fellas. Today we're going to be conducting a somewhat unusual experiment. Though our experiments do more often tend to be unusual than not. Anyway, today we'll try to replicate what people call the blackest paint available in the entire world. We're talking paint that reflects the tiniest amount of light. The trick here is using something as simple as carbon. A bit of carbon, some glue, I don't know, some clear coat, and a variety of other stuff. We're obviously looking to achieve a matte finish, which reflects as little light as possible. It's no secret that this kind of paint already exists, and it costs a shitload of money. They call it Vantablack, and buying a bit just for the sake of having some fun would have cost us a small fortune, which is why we'll be making a carbon-based compound. We've got a base coat, a bit of solvent and some matte spray paint, which is ready for use and good for getting a matte finish going on whatever you decide to paint. As we all know, carbon is a product of combustion, which you end up with by burning plastic or rubber, for example. But if we were to burn us some plastic, the material would be contaminated with these weird light grayish byproducts. We'd prefer to avoid the headache and not have the place up in smoke. So we stopped by a shop to buy some carbon black. Now this stuff is dirt cheap. The interesting thing about carbon black is that they sell it in a variety of hues. We got ourselves the darkest stuff we could find. But when we unwrapped the package, we found that we're dealing with tiny pellets, which we'll have to grind down into dust in order to make a proper mixture. We're gonna need a uniform compound, without any large bits and pieces floating around. We are looking to achieve a nice finish after all. So yeah, that's the way to go. Okay, so first we mix our own paint and coat half of the hood. After that we compare it to the spray paint. Right, let's make ourselves some of the blackest paint on the planet and give the car a makeover. Let's get stuck right into it. Painting a Lada with some home-brewed Vantablack paint. Translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. Here's what we're looking at. Bear in mind that everybody in here is a professional painter. Now, if I'm keeping it real, you'd be much better off painting these types of surfaces using a paint gun rather than a rattle can. In any case, you can clearly tell that the paint we mixed with that black carbon, it's quite obviously a lot darker. It doesn't reflect nearly as much light. It's quite a bit darker and blacker. Even if you take a close look at that crease on the hood. The spray paint we used is supposedly matte black, but you can clearly see that the crease is sort of highlighted. While on the other side of the hood, which we painted using our own home-brewed stuff, the rib does have a tiny glimmer to it, but it's not even close. Now I'm actually super curious to see what happens when we paint the entire car. Looks like there's no turning back. I see we make an entire bucket of that custom paint. The challenge being, of course, that you have to take the time to filter the compound. Otherwise, all of those large particles, you can mix and crush them all you want, but you're still gonna get some grains. Albeit they won't be that big after getting beaten down, but they'll still be big enough to clog up the nozzle on the paint gun. I'd also like to point out that the coverage with this paint is off the charts. Even after just applying one coat, you can no longer see what's underneath. That's an issue with many of these paint compounds, though it also depends on the color, I guess. White and black paint usually give you good coverage anyway, but this stuff is simply amazing. I don't even think we'll need that much material, but I still think we should make around 1.5 kilos worth of it, just in case. We'll start by getting ourselves some cheap base coat, then we mix it with the carbon black and paint the car. Let's do this. Check out what we've got here, fellas. We've turned the lights down a bit, and now we move away. Yeah, we're not the best when it comes to painting. There is a bit left to be desired. In any case, the car is quite dark now. It looks nice. And this is only our first attempt at doing something with carbon, trying to make the darkest paint you can possibly get. We didn't do any precise calculations in terms of how many grams of this do you need, that. We were eyeballing it as we usually do. And despite this being a matte base coat, you still get a slight glimmer. Another thing we were looking to accomplish here was to... You see, the thing is that the doors are covered in dents, both large and small. But due to this paint reflecting not as much light, it makes all of those imperfections less apparent. You can barely even see them now. It's as if they're not even there. And here's how the thing looks with a snowy backdrop. It's actually really, and I mean really dark, especially given the contrast with the white snow. I've never heard of any of this before, but when I saw a few videos, I started investigating to find out whether you can do this sort of thing by yourself. Obviously, when you mix your own paint, you need to be crafty with the respray. I mean, given the experience we have when it comes to painting and all of that, this car is a testament to the fact that we aren't that experienced. But in any case, if we were to take a somewhat more professional approach, then I reckon the finished car would look pretty awesome. Anyway, fellas, if you're looking to make yourself some super dark black paint, go for it. I'm sure you'll get the results you want. I guess I'll go out on a limb and say that we did okay here, given it was our first attempt. Right, guys, that's all I have for you. Don't be afraid to try this yourselves. I'm sure you'll make it work. I mean, we got somewhere, am I right? Okay, time to wrap this one up. Watch us, subscribe, send in those comments and suggestions, give us a big thumbs up. Catch you guys later.